Well, it looks like there's a new kid playing in the playground, and this time it's by means of Nemesis Audio. This brand out of Texas has made a big splash in the mobile electronics world, and today we're going to discover exactly what makes Nemesis Audio tick. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM, all about Nemesis Audio, and it starts now. What's going on, guys, and welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and you are tuned in to CMA Networks, where we talk mobile electronics day in and day out. Today, we're talking about a relatively new brand in the game. It's called Nemesis Audio, and joining us is our product expert, Shane. Shane, can you tell us a little bit about everything we're going to be talking about on today's show?
Hey, Ben, I'm really happy to be here. We have a wide range of products to talk about today, from mid-ranges to subwoofers to amplifiers and more.
Definitely a very vast catalog, and we're going to jump right in. But first, an opportunity for our partner, SiriusXM, to remind you why it's always a great add-on sale. And when we come back, let's find out what Nemesis Audio is all about. Don't you dare go away.
Hey, Paul here with SiriusXM, and I'd like to talk to you about attachment selling and why the SiriusXM product is one of the best things to add, especially since we don't trade dollars with any other category. I could go through all of this, but let's hear what some of our dealers have to say.
It's an easy add-on that takes, 10, 15 minutes if we're running an antenna, 1 minute if we've got an adapter to plug it into the factory SiriusXM antenna, and it's extra money, so no brainer.
I present it to every customer because a lot of customers don't know what all they can do with Sirius. They don't know what all content they could have. It just makes too much sense not to sell it.
It creates a different customer loyalty and customer security when you explain to them why it's a better experience. Just gets them back in the door, and then the next car, they're already asking for it again. So it just keeps selling itself. It makes more sense.
Well, there you have it. You heard from our dealers. Just remember some of the best practices. Make sure you have one on display so you can demo it. Make sure you're taking advantage of our rewards program, because if you're not taking advantage of that, you're leaving even more money on the table. Make sure you got our POP up on display. And other than that, just make sure you're recommending it.
And welcome back to Connected. We're talking with our good friend Shane from Nemesis Audio. Shane, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good.
All right. So Shane, let's learn about you a little bit first. I've met you first at one of these trade shows earlier on the year. You were showing me this really cool mini truck. How long have you been working with Nemesis Audio products?
For about 3 years now.
And what, we had this conversation, but I want you to tell our audience, what has been your experience with this brand of car audio that just seems to be blowing up right now?
Yeah, it's definitely really taken off. It's been a great experience. I feel like I got to start out on the ground floor with the up-and-coming new business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The one thing that I noticed was the build quality. Everything seems very overbuilt, but you were telling me that in these last 3 years, you've put in a lot of systems, and you can
Yes.
firsthand say that this stuff not only delivers in performance, but also in durability.
Yes. Over the past 25 years, I've worked with a lot of brands, and I have to say this is definitely the best so far.
All right. So let's dig into it. I think the guys tuning in, they want to know, what the type of products that you guys have to offer. And we've got a long list of stuff we're going to go through. And we're going to start with a mid-range that, according to you, is probably one of the most popular mid-ranges that you've been installing. It's called the NA65MR. Of course, this is a 6.5-inch mid-range. Shane, what can you tell us?
Our NA65MR is by far the most popular speaker we use. It's 350 watts RMS, 700 watts max. It has a 1.5-inch 4-ohm voice coil, and its frequency response is from 135 hertz up to 8,000 hertz. What I like about it the most is how slim it is. It'll fit in all applications, and it comes with a nice grill to protect it depending on where you mount it.
Shane, I got to admit, looking at that 6.5-inch mid-range, it looks like it's really well built. And for that type of speaker, it is a very slim profile. In fact, I believe I heard a whole bunch of them in the doors of that mini truck, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you're right.
And you know what? It played super well. Okay, so let's talk from speakers. Now we're going to get into subwoofers. There are two subwoofers that we want to cover today. The first one I want to ask you about is the NA12HV3. And from what I understand, this is a very popular subwoofer from Nemesis. What can you tell us?
Our NA12H Hectic 12 is definitely very popular. It's 2,000 watts RMS, 4,000 watts max. As you can see, it's a little too heavy to hold up the whole time. It has a 381 ounce high efficiency magnet, a 3.5-inch voice coil. It comes in either dual 2 or dual 1 options. It has a foam surround with double stitching and a non-pressed paper comb.
First of all, Shane, don't hold that sub anymore because I could tell it's extremely heavy. But when would you recommend somebody use that type of sub? Because it looks like a very heavy duty sub.
Yeah, this sub is really designed more for the people that want the extremely loud bass because it takes a lot of power, and you know, not everybody wants that kind of bass in their vehicle.
But for those that do, that
This
is the
is
one
definitely
to
a
go for.
go-to.
Okay,
Yes,
so let's contrast that with our next item here, which is a completely different type of subwoofer. This one that we're gonna be talking about is a slim version for the guys that don't have space, right? So tell us a little bit more about the NA12 SLM V3.
Our NA12H Slim is a shallow mount hectic sub. It's 800 watts RMS. It has a steel basket, a non-pressed paper comb with foam surround, a paper dust cap with a 3.5-inch high-power voice coil. This sub is only offered in dual 4-ohm voice coil, and it's perfect for the people that want to get a lot of bass but don't have a lot of depth to work with.
You know, Shane, I've seen a lot of shallow subwoofers, and I gotta say, the one from Nemesis there looks pretty damn beefy. Like it looks bulky. Having said that, though, this is meant for smaller spaces. So, can you give us an idea of what kind of air volume is required for an enclosure for that type of sub?
Yeah, in a sealed enclosure, you would be looking at about 0.5 up to 1 cubic foot. If you had the room to do ported, 1 to 1.5, which is pretty good for a 12 because most 12s are going to want more than 2 cubic foot of airspace to port it. So this sub really works out good for the people without a lot of space.
All right, great. The solution product. All right. We're going to go from subwoofers now to amplifiers. Now, I'm going to warn our listeners, if you're going to go to the website, you're going to get overwhelmed with the sheer amount of amplifiers that Nemesis offers. But I asked Shane before the show, I said, Shane, if you're going to come on and talk about one amplifier that is absolutely a must take a look at and something that you install frequently, he came up with the Fierce 4500 X5D. It looks like it's a 5-channel, but I'm going to count on you to tell us more.
Yeah, Ben, the Fierce 4500 by 5D is definitely our most popular 5-channel amp that we use a lot. It gives you a 4-ohm 125 watts per channel times 4 and 750 watts RMS by 1 on the sub channel at 4-ohm. But it will work at 1-ohm as well, where it gives you 1500 watts RMS. The amp has a 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz frequency response with a crossover range from 50 hertz to 500 hertz. As you can see, it takes up to 0 gauge power and ground inputs, and it comes with a remote bass knob to control the 5th channel.
You know, there's a lot of 5 channels on the market, Shane, but I got to say, based on those specifications you just said, that is a very powerful 5-channel. In fact, that probably is more than what most people are looking for, wouldn't you say?
Yes, exactly.
So let me ask you, if you were to build a system with that 5-channel, what is the typical like combination of speaker and sub that you would put with that?
Usually what we use that one on a lot of trucks with like the 4/8s underneath the back seat, and then control the door speakers as well.
So are you saying you'll run 4/8 off that single channel mono off that 5-channel is enough?
Yes, we've actually installed one of those amps with 2 of the Nemesis 15s as well. It definitely packs a lot of power.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so like we did with the subwoofer, we went big and bulky and then went compact. We're going to do the same thing here with amplifiers just to show some range. So we talked about that Fierce 4500 5-channel X5D, but we also have a series that's I find very interesting in the Nemesis lineup called the Micro series. Now, this is a small form factor, small footprint kind of amp. It's called the Micro 3000, and it seems to be a mono amplifier. So why don't you tell us about this one?
Yeah, Ben, our Micro 3000D is definitely a very popular amp. It gives you 1500 watts RMS at 1 ohm, 3000 watts max. At 2 ohm, you're still getting 1100 watts RMS, 2200 max. It has 4 gauge power and ground inputs. It has a frequency response from 20 hertz to 500 hertz with a crossover range from 50 hertz to 250 hertz. And what I like about it the best is it's only 10 inches long and about 5.5 inches wide and 1.7 inches tall. So it can pretty much be mounted anywhere with no problems.
I want to take this opportunity and thank my guest today, Shane Brockway from Nemesis Audio. Now, like Shane said, if you want to get more specs or details about any of the products covered on today's show, make sure you hit up their website found at nemesisaudio.com. Now, I'll be honest, this was a short segment because when we first dug into this brand, there is a lot to offer here. In amplifiers alone, we're talking 5, 6 different series with multiple different applications, not to mention a really cool Korean series, which is a nice higher end, slick, very well built, made in Korea type amp. But they also have a team series, which is like competition SPL level. The point I'm trying to make here is that if you thought Nemesis Audio was a one trick pony, look again. This brand is packing the like everything you can think of when it comes to speakers, subwoofers, amplifiers in multiple different levels, from entry level all the way to SPL. On top of that, the price, absolutely interesting. So if you're looking for a brand that checks off all these kind of boxes that maybe the closest store to you doesn't offer, definitely take a closer look at Nemesis Audio. That's it for this CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.